Assalamu my dudes, and welcome back to PLB Green. Today I am setting up a 3-foot tank to breed some snakeskin guppies. I've currently got a large external filter hooked up to the tank, and this should be more than enough to give the guppies some good flow and to filter the tank itself. I filled these netted bags with some black scoria, which is broken down lava rock. This material is extremely good for beneficial bacteria to grow on, as it has a large surface area. It also puts off really good minerals into the tank water, which can be very beneficial for the livestock. The main hardscape to the tank is going to be river rock. I'm actually going for a riverbank vibe in the aquarium itself. To stop the glass at the bottom of the tank of receiving pressure from these large rocks, I'm cutting up a crate and placing it down to help buffer the weight. To make the scape look more authentic, I'm adding some smaller river stones into the gaps around the bigger ones. In nature, rocks break down over time, so there's always a transition from large to small. Before adding these smaller details, I'm putting in a layer of river sand at the front of the tank, making sure to leave a gap at the back where I can add some aqua soil for some more intense plants. I have a tub of miscellaneous river rocks that I've kind of collected over the last couple of years. This is perfect for a top dressing and putting in some finer details between the larger rock work. A mixture like this works really well because of the different sizes of rocks and stones in the mix. If you have just one or two sizes of rocks, it kind of looks artificial. But if you have a random assortment of them like this, it makes it look like a natural setting. Behind the rock work on the right hand side, I'm pouring in some aqua soil. I'm planning on growing some interesting plants back here that require higher light and more nutrients than just growing in sand. It's finally time to fill the tank. I love this part of the build. Some people like to plant beforehand, but I always like to see how the tank sits and how the plants sit in the water before putting in aquatic plants. This plant is a terrestrial plant and it grows above the waterline. I always put these into my aquariums because they grow a lot faster than aquatic plants, and they also take up much more nutrients than aquatic plants can. So they're really good to filter your tank water. The first aquatic plants are going in, and I'm starting off with some narrow leaf Java fern. All types of Java fern are epiphytes, which means they can grow without their roots being in the substrate. They do have roots, but they also have a rhizome, and if you push the rhizome into the substrate, it actually can damage and kill the plant. After adding some floating plants, I'm up to botanicals. I'm starting with some small Australian seed pods that I just collected from the wild, some banksia leaves, and what I do with my botanicals is I boil them beforehand, get out a lot of the tannins and make sure they sink to the bottom of the tank. I'm doing the same with some almond leaves. I love using botanicals in my tank because not only do they release tannins that are antibacterial, but the fish tend to really enjoy their presence. Here are some banksia seed pods that I also collected, and I'm just placing them around the tank randomly, trying to get a wild look to the riverbank. I bought a couple of tissue culture pots for some of the plants that were going into the aqua soil at the back. I wanted a bit of texture back here, and I didn't want the plants to be growing too high. These will grow substantially higher, but they won't reach the top of the tank. After allowing the tank to cycle for a few days, I was finally able to add the snakeskin guppies. I put in 2 males and 4 females. I probably could have put in more females, but they seem to be going just fine. I also put some other species in. I put in some mountain clouds, and I also put in these little Australian shrimp and some rice fish. None of these species are able to crossbreed, so we won't get any mixture of genetics. The terrestrial plants are growing in really well. They're already putting out new roots that are seeking nutrients in the aquarium. And the fish have already started breeding. Look at the little babies. They're a little tricky to spot, but if you look closely, you can see little baby fish dipping in and out of the screen. These are actually a mixture of babies. I believe most of them are the snakeskin guppies, but I have noticed a couple of little baby rice fish as well. I must say, so far this tank has brought me much joy. To get your fish comfortable and happy enough to a level where they're breeding and putting out offspring into their habitat is a very, very rewarding experience. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time on PLB Green.